Why, hello, YouTube. Hopefully, all is going well and everyone is enjoying this beautiful Friday. So, for those of you in the workplace, hopefully everything is going well in that arena. For those of you who are just relaxing, maybe who are retired, I just hope and pray that everything is going well. So, yeah, so it's kind of an impromptu stream. And I kind of wanted to go ahead and discuss, what it's like living in these times, right? For those of us who have a biblical belief, um, we understand that these are end times, right? And because of that, those of us who are followers of Christ, it seems like there are a lot of, I guess you can say, repercussions that we experience during our lifetime. So I wanted to go ahead and bring that to the channel. But let me know if you can hear me quite fine. I know with my last live stream, my audio was a little off after I listened to the playback, so I just went ahead and got rid of it. But yes, what a Friday, you all. Um, so let me go ahead. I still hear music in the background. Let me just go ahead and turn it down or stop it. That's what we'll do. We'll stop it. All right. So let me just check out the comments and let's see. Yes, we're in the rear end of history. I made it. Hey, Blue, how are you? We have Albert in the house. We also have Tay in the house. We have Millennial in the house. We have Luann in the house. Scrappy Dappy Doo is in the house. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Oh, okay, perfect. All right. Wow, what a day. What a day, you all. So I guess in this video we'll discuss a little bit about end times. We'll talk about a little bit of spiritual warfare. I guess you all can be my therapist today, and we could kind of just talk about the situation that just happened to me this morning. And let's see, it's like I haven't even really gathered my thoughts on the situation, but I wanted to go ahead and just bring it to the channel so you guys can kind of get the raw version of just some of my experiences, right? So let's go ahead because I know that there's going to be people who listen back to the playback, and we may have some new subscribers that come on. So I want to just go ahead and kind of give a background for hey Christ daughter, how are you? Hopefully all is well. How are you? Hopefully all is well. Yes, the end of history, right? So I want to go ahead and give you all a background to kind of just the experience of those of us who are sojourners to this world, those of us spill the tea, those of us who who have been scapegoated, it just who are misfits to society. It just really feels no matter what we do in our life, there's always some type of tactic that we have to or some type of repercussion or negative experience that we have to go through in all relationship settings. And because of that, a lot of us have, isolated ourselves in order to limit the amount of drama or trauma or just all this unnecessary stuff that the world will give you. And so let's see here. So I guess, with that said, those of us who are believers in Christ, living in times such as these, the world is very uncomfortable with us. The world is constantly trying to find problems with us. Um, yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead and kind of discuss my work experience before I spill the tea on this recent job that I no longer work for. So pretty much, um, ever since I left my narcissistic family, um, I ran into various encounters at the workplace, right? So whether it was via managers, whether it was via coworkers, whether it was, this mobbing mentality, and but I don't know if I mentioned customers, right? And so, you get out into the world and you have to work to provide for yourself. For those of us who don't have, any type of support, any type of, familial support or financial support. And so we get out into the world and we work, right? And when I first entered the workforce, I was also in college. And my first job, I was working as a recreation leader, and was running a classroom of about 30 kids by myself. And I believe I was 18 or 19 at the time. And during this job, I was also one of the few that were actually in college. And um, everybody at the company got a raise except me. Even though I was doing a phenomenal job, even though the kids were well behaved, the teachers would come in and say, "Wow, you really do have this classroom well behaved. You're doing a phenomenal job. The kids enjoyed me." And, so everyone got a raise except me. And of course, I didn't give my manager any type of emotion, right? Negative emotion. So guess what? Everyone got a second raise except me. And this is way before I knew anything about narcissistic abuse, right? I didn't know that these type of entities existed. So, I figured, okay, well, I waited for my raise and I never got it. So I went ahead and left that job and I worked for a restaurant and ended up missing a break and I was fired. And then the recession happened. And I was slowly but surely learning that the treatment that, you know, was given to me, or the mistreatment that was given to me by my adoptive family, the world was also treating me in this way. And so, so that just led to me becoming, I guess, what you would call a job hopper, right? So, being a follower of Christ in this world, being a scapegoat in this world, once again, you make people uncomfortable. And the reality that we experience on this planet is so different, it's so extreme. A lot of the abuse that we experience is very subtle. We are gaslit and made to think that we aren't good enough, made to think that something is wrong with us. And a lot of us, we will take on these jobs and we are in what you will call the love bomb period. So it's, oh my God, you're so amazing. You're exactly what we're looking for. And we're really happy to take you on. And, as I began to study the pattern, I realized, like, wow, I really have problems on these various jobs that I do. Right. So, fast forward, the pandemic hit, and I decided, okay, I woke up to narcissistic abuse, and I I decided, okay, well, I think it's best for me to work remotely, right? We have, a pandemic happening. I don't know what's going on with that. And as I began to wake up to this disorder, the abuse that I experienced in the workplace was at an all-time high. So I just wanted to go ahead and protect myself, and just kind of limit the unnecessary chaos that was occurring in my life. And I also wanted to really focus on healing, right? So what this pandemic has done is it's given us a time, at least for the first year, it gave us a time to really sit back and examine just different things in our lives, examine different flaws, build a connection with the creator. And so that's exactly what I did. And so, with these last few jobs, I've kind of detailed, my experience. And so I ended up getting this job. And now when it comes to narcissism in this particular job, I'm not sure how ingrained narcissism was. I know that there was a few people who had narcissistic traits, but as I'm starting to become more aware of this world, I just kind of feel like narcissistic personality disorder is really the same as the fallen state of mankind. So, if you don't have Christ in you, if you're not a believer, I feel that you are going to default into either having a lot of narcissistic traits, or you're just going to, default into having that disorder and be a part of the hive. And here on the channel, I discuss how they operate as a collective. And this is where you'll see bullying and whatnot. And so, anyway, with a lot of different um, tactics with this job, I don't feel like they were used on me. But anyway, so let's just get to the point. We've been on here for 13 minutes. So this morning, I woke up and I had a meeting with, one of the founders of the company, and I guess you can say my manager. And I found out that I'm no longer working for the company and I was let go. And the reason for me being let go was because they stated that I don't have, I can't perform the basic functions of the job. Okay. And so this would come down to software. And so, um, I'm new to the field of accounting. And so with accounting, there's different software programs that they would like you to know, right? So things such as Excel, QuickBooks, and yeah. So anyway, so rewinding back, I met with the team last week, and they're like, "Hey, Rebound, we need to have a talk with you." I'm like, "Okay." And we just want to, touch bases with you to see where you are with the company. Mind you, I've only been working for the company for a month, right? I haven't been with the company that long. My first week, I was kind of getting all my systems set up. So really didn't do anything for the first week and a half. And I've engaged with my manager maybe via Zoom, maybe about 5 times. And so within those 5 times of engaging with my manager, she came up with the idea that I'm too weak on software, right? I don't know the software programs, and so we met that week, and I'm like, okay, well, if whatever you want me to learn, just send me the training, I'll do it. Okay. So there was about 7 programs that they wanted me to learn, and they sent me the training. And I looked at the training; it was all online training, and this was on Thursday, mind you. And there was over 100 hours of training, and they wanted this training. They wanted to follow up with me on Tuesday. Okay, so now I have about 36 to 40 courses that I need to complete in such a small window of time, which is why I didn't do my live this weekend, because I really wanted to, kind of get a handle on completing these trainings. And a lot of the trainings were repetitive, right? And let's just say, for example, they wanted me to learn Outlook, right? Which is pretty much emailing, right? But they had like 5 different trainings on Outlook. And one of the training, no joke, you guys, was about 10 hours. And so after they send me all this, and I'm like, hey, I reached out to my manager and I'm like, hey, I'm noticing that these trainings are really long. And, is there a particular order that you want me to do these trainings in? I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. And so she said, okay, we'll start off with Outlook. And then after you feel comfortable with that, go to the next software and then do those trainings. And I'm like, okay. And so, at this point, I'm trying to prove myself, right? And I'm like, let me try to complete these trainings as fast as I can, right? And there's no way that I can learn 7 programs in a matter of a few weeks, right? And once again, I still have Tuesday as like my deadline, so I'm like, I need to complete. I know, right? It was, oh my god, I just saw millennials comment. Yes, and so and we'll get into that. So um, I'm like, okay, I need to complete as many trainings as possible to show them that I'm serious about the job. So the goal was to complete at least 10 trainings by Tuesday. So after doing the Outlook trainings, I was like, okay, this is getting repetitive. Like I'm just gonna move on to the next, software. And so I figured, what is going to make more sense, right? So I've taken a financial accounting course. So I'm like, okay, well, they had a lot of foundational accounting courses as well in the training. So I figured, okay, let me do that first because I can move fast, right? So anyway, I get through all those courses, then I go to QuickBooks and looking through that, right? And really I was trying to get all the training, um, as much training as I can do before getting to Excel, because I knew that was going to be the longest. Like one course was like 25 hours long. And I knew that I couldn't just train on these different programs forever. So anyway, I'm moving through the training, you guys, and I completed about 14 of them, from Thursday evening of last week all the way up until today. And so I meet with them and they're like, what did they say? They were like, we looked at your trainings because this is through like a LinkedIn profile, and pretty much they were like, you didn't go in the you didn't prioritize the trainings the way that we wanted you to, right? And you didn't take the test after the training. Now, with these programs, they give you the certificate of completion before you take the test. And I'm figured, okay, well, what's the point of taking a test if I've already got a certificate proving that I completed the program? Whatever. And so they're like, okay, because of that, we're going to have to let you go. And so pretty much, I had a feeling last week that what they were going to do when once I saw my training schedule, I was like, they're going to overwhelm me with training, and then they're going to use me. They're going to make it my fault as to why I can't complete these trainings. And this is what a lot of people in the hive do, right? So the narcissist, when it comes to working in the work setting, what they will do is they will overwhelm you with work, and they'll set these unreasonable expectations. And when you don't complete them, then they'll use that as a grounds to fire you. And so that's exactly what happened. And so, we get on the Zoom meeting, and yes, I hope Jesus is coming like now. So we get to the meeting, and mind you, I'm a private person, right? And when I first got hired with this company, well, let's just say this first. So I'm a private person. So when we're doing these Zoom meetings, I don't want anybody seeing my background. Like, that's just too invasive. You don't need to be in my house. So I set a virtual background, right? And I was probably the only one in the company who I'm sorry, I'm reading a comment, but I was the only one in the company who had a background, right? Because I don't like people being in my home, right? And so today, when we're meeting, my manager has a virtual background, which she never had in the past, right? So I don't know if she was doing that to be funny, but anyway, and then this company, I think another issue that they had with me was I set a lot of boundaries, right? So I remember doing a live stream with you all, and I found out that Saturday night that I was hired with the company. Now, that Wednesday, they wanted me to join what was called their summit. Now, in this summit, they wanted me to go to a hotel and pretty much stay overnight and eat with the company, do yoga sessions with the company. The following day, they wanted me to do a photo shoot with the company, and I'm looking through the itinerary, and I'm like, this is too much. I don't even know you people. Plus, you all know my situation when it comes to these um, airwaves, I guess we can say, for YouTube. And so I just didn't feel comfortable. And then, then they were requesting, that I get a professional headshot. And I'm like, okay, if you guys pay for it, I'm not paying for it. So I was already setting a whole bunch of boundaries, and I think that was something that offended them. And I believe that, for those of us aware of this disorder and spiritual warfare in general, because we're aware our love bombing period, it doesn't last long. So we get discarded really quickly. It used to last anywhere from, like, I would say 6 months to a year when I didn't knew nothing about narcissism as I was waking up. It lasted about 3 months. And now it lasts about 3 weeks to maybe a month, right? So anyway, so I think that was also a problem as well. And, I mentioned that the CEO kind of reminded me of an old roommate that I had. It was like the same personality. But yeah, you guys. So unfortunately, I'm no longer working with that job, right? Now, am I upset about it? I it's okay. How can I say this? You guys are gonna be my therapist now. Um, you get to a point in your life where you just understand that this is always going to be what it is when you engage with people, right? When you engage with a large group of people. Um, I've understand that no matter what I do in this life, I'm always going to be grouped in the scapegoat role. And because I've done the work on myself, because I've empowered myself, because I've healed myself, a lot of people who want to put me in that role are uncomfortable because I refuse to serve the position. I refuse to allow people to gaslight me and to make me feel that I'm not worthy or I'm not educated enough Or going back to the software, well, you don't know this software. And I'm like, well, you interviewed me. We had a conversation about this stuff. I told you, what I was good at. And I'm a very fast learner, right? And it's just something about our frequency, it's something about the light that we carry, where this world, they don't want anything to do with us. We just make them super uncomfortable. So I'm pretty sure this was top down. The CEO was like, get rid of them. And so they had to come up with a way to covertly get rid of me, instead of just saying you're fired, right? So it's just like, let's overwhelm you. And I think they weren't trying to fire me as fast, but I think that I was moving through the trainings too fast. And they're like, if we don't fire him this week, he's going to complete the trainings. And then we won't have any grounds to fire him, right? But anyway, so that happened. And it's just, I sit back and I think about my life, and I just think about my experience. And the only difference is the fact that I've awakened to this reality and I'm aware of things that can happen before they happen. Right. And so, they're like, of course, they're very defensive and they're like, well, you have the floor now, you can speak. And I'm like, I have nothing to say. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, thank you. And yeah, I turned in all my equipment, and yeah, I am back on the job market. Right. So since they did fire me, I think I'm just going to take some time. Maybe, I don't know what I'm going to do really. But what was interesting was, with my last job that I had issues with, I remember dropping my courses so I could focus on the job. And with this job, I said, don't drop your courses, because as soon as you drop your courses, things are going to go left. And so I ended up dropping one course, but keeping another. And I'm thankful that I kept it because, of course, woke up this morning and literally everything from last week, from last Thursday on to today, went left. And, I'm still the same person. I put in so much work, you guys. So I'm very proud of myself, but wow. And I really don't think, in all fairness, I don't think the company really needed me. But I really do think that this was spiritual warfare, because the offer that they gave me as far as my salary, that's what really made me, make the decision to join the company. And I think if they would have given me a lower offer, I wouldn't have joined. But yeah, in all, they didn't need me. But it's just funny how that demonic spirit will work through people. And it's like this split personality, right? So you'll have someone who seems very cool at first, and then all of a sudden they'll turn on you. So yeah, that was my job experience. And yeah, it's just, now, do you all think that, like what happened was crazy, right? I mean, goodness gracious, like, and once again, it was just like, you didn't complete the test. And I'm like, but can you just acknowledge the fact that I completed 14 trainings in a matter of like 5 days? And I had did one of the trainings on a Sunday. But anyway, yeah, it's just so crazy how, those of us who are scapegoated in this reality, how we get treated. And it's just like, wow, the more awakened I've become, the faster I hop from one job to the next. Right. So yeah, that is my story. It's crazy. Yeah, and once again, it's just like, I do believe in karma, or the karma cycle. And when you treat people like this, it will come back to you. And there was a meeting where the CEO's mask slipped off. And I'm like, wow, she is the ultimate, like, ultimate narc, right? And then the thing is, sometimes I don't believe that I'm making facial expressions when it comes to Zoom. But I kept looking at my face and I'm like, oh my God, I am making face expressions. And it was kind of like it seemed like she was kind of uncomfortable when it came to communicating with me. Like, she would have conversations about me, but she wouldn't include me in those conversations. She would delete the conversations right away. Yeah. So yeah, and it's crazy. So I've been fired from, let me see, three jobs. Let's see. So one, I didn't take a break, at the restaurant that I was working at, was fired. Another job, I was working for a doctor who was a malignant narcissist. I mean, this guy was crazy. And so he fired me, because somebody defended me. We had a new hire, defend me, and then he got mad at me and fired me. And I was trying to quit first, but it didn't work out. And then, yeah, this job. Apparently because, I can't perform the basic functions of the job, which is all subjective, right? It's like you don't know how capable I am if you've only had 5 meetings with me, right? So it's, oh my god. But yeah, so it is what it is. Let's see. So what I'll do is I'll check some of these comments, and then if they kind of like bring me to another subject, then we can go ahead and dive into that. But yeah, it's a pleasure to have all of you here. It's nice that I have an audience to vent to if I need to. But yeah, so honestly, it's like I'm not even like too angry about it, but it's just how you just look at someone and you say, I'm very disappointed in you. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And that's how I feel about the world and humanity, and just with our, lack of leadership and what those of us go through in relationships and on the jobs, and those of us who've had narcissistic families. I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed. All right. So let's see what we have here. Just looking through some of these comments. My boss didn't talk to me all day. It was like heaven. And then they'll turn around and say, "Oh, well, we have a problem with you because you're not speaking to us." Oh my god, but this is why we isolate ourselves, you guys. Like, this is why it's like every time I open the door, whether it's meeting somebody new or working these various jobs, there's always something that goes wrong. Always. All right, so let's see here. It says, "Hey, I keep missing the live streams, but I hopped on." YouTube is they're just the same problems that I deal with on the workforce is the same that I deal with on this platform. I feel like YouTube scapegoat as well. All right, let's see what we got here. Highly favored and blessed, and yes, and honestly, I know something else will come down the road, but right now I'm really not worried about it. But yeah, it's just it is crazy what we go through on this planet. Okay, so it's funny all week as well. Yeah, goodness gracious. Yeah. I'm like, there's always problems where there should not be any problems. Let me see. Being a part of a bullying hive never has never been an option. I love God and the truth. Yeah. And honestly, when I was looking at how the CEO would down talk, and the thing is, this was the first company, it was a very small company. It was probably like 25 of us. But this was the first company that I worked for that was ran by millennials. Like, I've never worked for a company ran by millennials. And I would listen to how the CEO would talk to certain people, and I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I think she could see it on my face expression. But yeah. And I'm like, and the person who fired me, I feel sorry for her, or like not, I don't know if sorry is the right word, but she just looks so stressed and drained, and she has kids, and I'm like, wow, like, I can only imagine what it's like working directly under, the CEO. But yeah, so yeah, it's just crazy. Let's see here. If you want to work remote, there are social, I may be able to help. Okay, let me know. Let me know. I'm always willing to work remote. I'm not stepping foot in the office. I can't. I can't because of the technology. So even if I wanted to go work in the office, I can't do it. Because the technology will run me out. Or these airwaves, I guess we can call them. Let's see. Yeah, like it says, a month is not long enough to assess performance, right? And so for the first week and a half, I didn't even have equipment. So, and this is what will happen to those of us who are becoming aware, is we kind of get baited into these things. We get love bombed, and then we'll take the offer. And before we can realize what we're dealing with, we're sabotaged. Um, and once again, the more you know, the faster you will get discarded. And we know that this is a tactic that narcissists use. If they can't use you the way that they want, they discard you. And once again, it's because I set too many boundaries. I didn't go on their outings. They also had, my birthday was last month. They had a dinner for all the February birthdays. I did not go to that either. Right. So, and I knew any of the future events, I wasn't going to go to unless they, stopped all these different restrictions going on. So I was like, yeah, yeah, let's see here. Uh, hey mate, young guys, starting to listen to me because they are seeing the cons Interesting. Interesting, Andy. How are you? Hopefully all is well. It says lesson learned is never skip lives. Yeah, but you guys, I was so tired. Like, oh my God, I was so tired. Like it was Saturday, man. And then it was like I'm trying to like do my homework as well. And I'm like, oh my God, if I get on live, I'm gonna be so boring and drained. And yeah, lesson learned, right? Let's see. I've been searching and applying from a remote work. No, yeah, no luck yet. Yeah, it's that whole field is kind of is interesting. There are certain traits, right? Oh my god! And then they had a company exclusive to software exclusive to their company, and I'm like, why are y'all having me learn this? Like, it is not that serious. Like, yes, in these Outlook trainings, oh my god, you guys, like it would be like 2 hours, 3 hours. And I'm like, I'm never gonna use all this stuff on Outlook. I'm just gonna send an email back. They're like, well, so this is what happened with Outlook. Okay, so um I had two emails with the company, right? And one of the emails I couldn't send from. I had access to it. I just couldn't send out emails. And so I there was a third party that was supposed to work with me to get that fixed. And the third party never reached out, right? And so I received an email asking me if I got it fixed. And I'm like, what's the issue? And they're like, well, you can't send out from this email. And so they're like, test to see if you can. So, I clicked on, send email or whatever. And I'm like, I don't see an option to switch over to the other email. And so that's why they said that my Outlook performance wasn't what they were looking for. But they were just making up shit at this point. And so what happened was all they had to do was configure it where I could send out emails from both emails, right? So they were kind of like annoyed with that. And then they wanted me to do Adobe training, right, with PDFs. And these trainings were long as well. And so I skipped those. Like at a point, I was just like, okay, which of these trainings are going to benefit me? Because I'm pretty sure I'm out the door. So I took all the trainings that benefited me, right? And got to take these trainings for free, which was nice. But I'm like, and then even with Adobe, I didn't even have the program on my computer. So, and when once again, they tried to overwhelm me with all these different software trainings so that I could fail miserably because there's no way you can complete 40 trainings in like 5 days. Like, but I tried, y'all. I tried. Right. So, yeah, it is what it is. Like, it's ridiculous. So I'm like, oh my God. Uh, let's see here. God is moving you where, yeah. And that's another thing too. I understand that, with these misfortunes that I'm having and these jobs, let me just take a sip of water, you guys. I know God is using these things to land me something else, right? And I am working on trying to create something of my own. It just takes time and that takes training. And so now I could get back to that. But yeah, it is so crazy because literally when we had the meeting last Thursday, um, I kind of got annoyed. I had to like leave my house and go to like for a walk, right? I got annoyed because they made it seem like I lied on my interview. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, like, and of course, I'm like gaslighting myself. I'm like, rebound, don't take this stuff personal. Like, you do need to enhance your skills on Excel and, learn QuickBooks and all that stuff. But um, I was irritated because I'm like, you all made it seem like I lied on my interview. Like they're like, well, I didn't know that you didn't know these programs like this. And I'm like, I told you, that I was beginner level. And then if you give me the training, I can learn it pretty quickly. But yeah, oh my God, the games that they play, you guys, the games that they play. Goodness gracious. All right, let me just check. Yeah, shaking my head, classic gaslighting. And then for those of you out here, this is why I'm doing it, right? Those of you in the chat, you all know about this disorder. You know the games that they play. We know these people like the back of our hands. But for those of you who are new to the idea of spiritual warfare or narcissism, and these same things are happening to you, just know that you're not crazy. Don't blame yourself. Don't doubt yourself, right? Don't devalue yourself. And when these companies do things to sabotage you, you take it and you leave, right? So, it is what it is. And I know that I didn't give them the emotion that they wanted, but I'm like, yeah, you're not getting my energy. I'm sorry. Okay, so yeah, yes, God will use you where you're needed. These demons keep trying to get people. Don't back down. Proud of you for your time and sharing with us. Yeah, and then I also had prior to that, that same week, I believe, I had my old employer asking me to come back. And you never go back to an abusive environment. Never, because these demons will pay you back. Ooh, they'll get you back for it. So never. But it was just so funny how that played out. And I kept saying, okay, well, I got, Hoover by two, right? I'm like, I know there's a third one coming. And then this is what happened with the company. But yeah. Okay. So victimize you and blame the victim. So typical. Yeah, like, we've noticed that you're not completing the test. I'm like, well, you think that I'm gonna sit here and take a test on Outlook? Like, you really think I'm gonna waste an hour to take a test on it when I already have their certificate? No, I'm not doing that. Hey, Heidi, how are you? Hopefully, all is well. But yeah, I mean, and the funny part is, okay, so those of us who are empathic, like, we're evolving as far as like knowing what to look out for, but these demons are also evolving too. Like, I don't know who made the decision to fire me. I know it was one of three people. But they got me so good. Like, I didn't even see it coming, right? I mean, I kind of anticipated it, and then I kind of gaslit myself, and I said, "Oh no, they're just trying to develop me, and then they'll start giving me more assignments afterwards." Yeah, yeah. And sometimes a lot of us, we gaslight ourselves when it comes to this stuff too. So, but yeah, life of a scapegoat, you all. Just looking through the chats. It's a pleasure to have all of you here and to get back on this live stream platform. Okay, so let's see. That's exactly what they did to me at my past job, but I quit due to the harassment. Yeah, and this has been done to me before. It's been done to me at a few jobs, actually. I was managing at a chiropractic clinic and ran by Scientologists, you guys. I don't know how I got in there, but they started overwhelming me with responsibilities, and it was over the top. I was like, there's no way I can complete all this. And I ended up quitting, and then they would call me, leaving voicemails, asking for somebody else. Like, it was the weirdest thing. But that place was straight up demonic. Like, I could feel the dark energy off of, the manager that worked there. Wow, that's super shady. I see what they did there. Are you absolutely right when they did it on purpose? Yeah, I knew it. When I saw the trainings, I'm like, you guys do realize that these trainings are long, right? And you do realize that I'm gonna have to stop and then, work on, it on my end. And they're like, yeah, no, you'll be fine. And goodness gracious, like a 25-hour long training. I'm like, goodness gracious. I'm about 40 seconds behind, by the way. Sorry. Yeah, it's completely fine. It's probably a blessing in disguise. Like I said, I'm so used to this stuff happening to me. I don't even get mad anymore. It's just the reality that we live in, and this is just going to be my experience. But yeah, it says yoga sessions. Yes, yes. They're like, yeah, we're gonna do yoga and we're gonna do, and they're like, can you come down? I'm like, no. No, it's a shady is the understatement, but shady nonetheless. Yeah, it was shady. Like, but you see how these companies, like, they create the illusion that they're trying to work with you. Just so if you try to go back and you try to sue them or whatever, they're like, well, no, like, he just couldn't perform, the job functions. And it's like, well, you didn't give me an opportunity to. Like, they wanted me to create some like chart and like spreadsheet, which I did, right? They never showed me what. I'm like, okay, can we sit down and let me know if I have everything that you want on it? But I'm like, you guys just want me to create stuff from scratch. Um, like, we need to have a conversation about this, right? But it is what it is. Um, it's crazy. But because I wasn't willing to be a part of the cult, they're like, get out, get out. Okay, so man, I need to start praying like that. Okay, so sounds like a blessing you're no longer there. Yeah, I mean, with this last week that I was there, they completely burnt me out. And I feel like my body responds to it too. So like, I had a lot of inflammation. Um, So, but yeah, I didn't really have a bad feeling, but I was too new, so I couldn't pick up on everything, like, as far as like the spiritual warfare that was happening. But yeah, so yeah, I'm happy that I'm out, but I don't like this trend of me just working for a job for a month and then or 2 months and then quitting, like, or in this case, getting fired. It's just the weirdest thing, right? Because then potential employers are going to turn around and say that there must be something wrong with me, and I know what work that I put in when it came to this company. Um, but it is, yeah, it's crazy. Okay, so yeah, unfortunately, it's another thing that left me in new age. Yeah, I just don't get down with yoga. They had yoga on P90X years ago, and I remember 15 minutes of it. I was like, and it was like over an hour, and I'm like, I can't do this. We'll leave yoga alone. I'll stick with the weightlifting portion. Let's see. Yeah, it says gosh, owners should be entitled to a monthly stipend. Man, oh my god. Let's see here. But yeah, let's see. Okay, let God lead you. Yes. And that's the thing. Once you secure your relationship with God, there's nothing that this world can do to break you because you understand. Like, so when they play these games, it's like, okay, it's like you guys spent all this money buying equipment for me. And hire me on, and it's like you discarded me right away. Like, you didn't give me any time to prove to you who I am as an employee. And once again, you hired me right away. And so obviously, taking the spiritual side out of it, obviously you saw something in me, right? That you wanted, right? But really it was just spiritual warfare. And so this is what I'm talking about, when it comes to spiritual warfare, because it literally is a war between good and evil. Okay, so yeah, it's crazy. But I don't really think they needed me. Like, I'm like, you guys, they already had two accountants. I'm like, you guys don't need me because the company was like a smaller company. The numbers that they were running were pretty big numbers, but I'm like, you don't really need me, right? Let's see. Sounds like they wasted your time and theirs. Yeah, yeah, they did. Well, I don't see it as a waste of time because within this last week, I got some pretty good trainings for free. But and honestly, I'm gonna be fair with myself. I feel like before I step into a role like this one again, I'm gonna make sure that I'm proficient in Excel and all the other, like, not like all the other software programs, but not like Outlook. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Adobe? Like, no. And so and so I think what they were trying to do was, I think they wanted me to look at all those trainings and then turn around and quit and say, I'm not doing this, right? And I'm like, no, I'll do it, but I'm going to do it on my terms, right? So I'm going to take classes that benefit me. I'm not going to, take things that I feel like is unnecessary. And I didn't. Okay, I was fired because of their embarrassed and disbelief because they are always sick, pointing their fingers at someone else for the lack of leadership. Yeah, and and the CEO, she would just talk shit about everybody. She'd be like, "Oh my god!" Like, there was a manager that sends like a lot of emails on different platforms. They're like, "It's a problem. Like, I can't do this. Why am I here at this meeting? Like, I can't." I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like, you act like a spoiled brat. But yeah, that's what yeah, they fired me. So I think I qualify. I don't even know. Like, oh goodness gracious. I get paid today, so I'll just wait to see what the check is and I'll use that information to apply. But once again, it's like the company even pays a portion of that. And it's like, well, whatever. It is what it is. Um, but yeah, we'll see. It's probably a blessing in disguise. But oh goodness gracious. It keeps happening. It's not like it's not me though. It's the world. Then you sound like a real crazy person. I know, like, goodness gracious, right? Oh my God. But this is how the world will gaslight you and make you seem like the problem when we're really not the problem. We're really not the problem. I know who I am. I know my skill set. I know that I run on principle, right? And even though I'm working the job remotely, I was literally at the computer at least 8 hours a day, at least, because just that's my integrity that I have. It seems like a lot of us never settle down or get comfortable anywhere, and I don't think we're ever going to, right? And I think that the way that this world is set up, I think a lot of us, we're spread out and we're supposed to be spread out. So when we start fighting each other like in person, the world will do everything to like separate us, right? Because they never want the scapegoats to join forces. They never want us to. It's crazy. Okay, so let's see what y'all talking about. Oh, y'all got some comments on here. So I'll start from the bottom and then go up. Yeah, what kind of CEO talks shit about others? How real true leadership comes from creative thinking. And they had a lot of brilliant people there. Like it was a lot of amazing people that worked there. It was just the CEO. It was just, and then she had her days, right? Like she would be cool on some days, and other days I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know about you. But yeah, it is what it is. We aren't robot. Yeah, and that's what they want us to be. They want us to be robotic like. They want us just to be slaves. And this 9 to 5, it just doesn't work for a lot of us, right? 40 hours a week is just too much to devote your life to a company that can just fire you at a drop of a dime whenever they feel like it. It says unemployment benefits are hard to get, but be firm and you'll get it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure since I was fired, I think I'll be fine. I think if I would have quit, it would have been another story. But I'll also look for something else too. Hey Daniel, how are you? Let's see, learn a trade. Yeah. And the thing is, it's like I don't know what I want to do. This crisis going on right now has really thrown me off guard of marketing, computer science, anything. Yeah. And hey Jake, how are you? And the thing about those things, it's just that also requires a lot of time, right? To learn a trade and to um master it so that you can operate your own, right? But I'm, definitely will definitely take the advice, right? And then what makes it hard for those of us who don't have like family and really depend on ourselves, when we're taking the time to learn these things, we're going into debt or we're also trying to work at the same time. And it's just, as you start getting older, you start realizing you're like, I don't have enough energy for all this stuff, right? Like, and then you're being zapped by what. And so that takes your energy as well. But yeah, so it's yeah, I will. I think they'll give it to me. I mean, like, yeah, but I don't know. We'll see. Um, Maybe they were trying to scare the other accountants. I don't know. Like, there was one who was a senior of account. She was a senior accountant. She was there for a year, and then the other one got hired when I did. Now, this other one, she was pretty good. Like, she was good, right? And once again, I'm new to the field. Like, I'm just learning the information. So, what I really need is like a mentor. Let's see. Sounds like time for you to be your own boss. Yeah, I'm working. Hey, Sammy, I'm working on it. Like I'm paying for a program, and pretty much I just need to get certified, and then I can start running my own stuff. But yeah, I'm working on it. It's just I wanted to have something. I wanted to have like some income coming in as I was learning it, but maybe if I can get unemployment benefits, I can just focus on that venture. But yeah, I'm working on it because I already know what the story is going to be with me in these jobs. Like it's always going to be a problem. I'm changing jobs every few months sucks. I've been there, in fact, starting a new job myself. But when you see the red writing on the wall, you have to run. Yeah. And this time I didn't see it on the wall. I suspected it, but I'm like, it's too fast. And I was like, okay, I was getting paid to learn. I was like, this is exactly what I want. I want to get paid to learn. Um, but yeah, it's crazy. But you have to, especially, when they try to sabotage you. But yeah, and then also learning a job is stressful, right? It says you can be put a temp job on your company. Yeah, yeah, that's probably. But you know what's funny? The last 3 jobs I put temp jobs, so like now I have to like change them around and like But yeah, so that's probably what I'll do. Um, oh my god, it just makes my resume look so sloppy, like so sloppy. It just makes me look like a bad employee. And I'm like, "Oh my god, you guys." And, like, they knew I was putting in the work. They knew it. They literally could see my track record. And, I'm like, "You guys are making me look like a shitty ass employee," right? Oh my god, because I wouldn't have quit that job. I was like, "You guys are gonna have to fire me." But, the goal was to try to stay there for at least 6 months to a year. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, when they give you vague instructions, yeah, they'll find something to attack you on, especially in the training phase. Yeah, like I'm like, so what happened between last Thursday? And they're like, you're killing it, you're doing so well, and I'm like, really, I haven't even done anything yet. And then all of a sudden, it just flipped. Yeah, no, I'm working on that. Yeah, being an entrepreneur is something that I have to do, right? So I'm working on it. Trust me, you all. And now this is just going to give me fire, right? To like move through that program faster. Um, it says, tell me more about Scientologists. They're crazy as hell. They're crazy as fuck, right? I don't know what they do in their rituals behind closed doors, but when I tell you these people are terrified of going against the cult in Scientology, they are terrified. They are scared. So I don't know what they do, but what Scientology does is they really try to incorporate you in the cult. They try to control your finances. They have all these random meetings that they want you to go to, so they keep you indoctrinated, right? They keep you busy so that you don't break free, and that you lose all your healthy relationships. And so people, there will be chatter in the office of like, well, they're Scientologists, right? I'm like, what? And so, I sat down one Saturday and I learned about Scientology, and I was like, what the fuck? And it was right before I learned about narcissism, like literally right before. It was, I was starting to say, I was like, something is wrong with the world. These people are strange. And yeah. So oh my God. I just want to know, who was the demon operating throughout my last job? I'm like, who was it? Who was it? But it is what it is. Let's see here. There are so many toxic work environments out there. Where can we work and stay sane? Seems so limited. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's either you're at a job, you're miserable because you're exhausted, or you're just dealing with abuse. And once again, the more you work on yourself, the more confident you are. Your relationship with God, your awareness of who these creatures are, you're going to always be a problem. Like, you're always going to be a problem. And yeah, so it is what it is. Let me see here, just looking through some of these comments. Okay, so I enjoy being an overcomer. I try not to play the victim. Yeah, it's easy to say that. Well, yeah. And honestly, I'm nobody's victim. Even though it didn't work out in my favor, I'm still very thankful, right? And I got to collect a temporary paycheck. And I feel like a lot of these jobs, it's like go in, get the paycheck, get out. But yeah, so yeah, they'll do anything to make you feel inferior. Yeah, because the issues that they said that I had, they knew about during my interview, right? And once again, you see the narcissist, even in the work setting, you see how fast they try to get their hooks in you. Oh, you need to go to the summit, and you need to spend the night with us at this hotel, and you need to do yoga with us and go out to eat with us. And I'm like, no, the job is a remote job. We need you to come to the office. And no. Oh my God. Yeah, I can't. But there's a sector of us who are decent people, right? And have integrity, and who are intelligent, and we still have these problems. Like, we still have it. So if it's happening to you, don't gaslight yourself. There's nothing wrong with you, right? And working for people, it's like a relationship. Sometimes relationships just don't work out. Let's see here. Being empathic is too incredibly draining. It's hard to let alone wake up in the morning and complete simple things if you are naturally make me want to get. Yeah. I agree. I agree, man. I agree. Okay. Let's see here. It says, oh my God, so annoying, but Outlook issue was not you. Yeah, it wasn't. And then they said it wasn't me, right? But then they turned around and made it my problem, right? And we got the problem fixed. Apparently somebody else who had the same problem with me as me got it fixed by the IT department, and she helped fix it for me, right? But then they turned around and they made it my problem. And I'm like, with Adobe stuff, she was like, okay, after this, we're going to save it as a PDF, right? And so she was teaching me. So I was just allowing her to take the lead. And I guess since I didn't take initiative and was like, okay, well, let me just save it as a PDF before you say something. Apparently I didn't know that software either. But yeah, it is what it was. Like 7 programs, you guys, born in the flesh. Yeah, and then, all this stuff, it just goes right back. It goes right back to the Bible. It's spiritual. Like, this is what it is, right? I just thought about the Bible verse. It was like, just know they hated me first, right? Like, when the world hates you, just know that they hated me first. And I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. And it's like, at this point in my awareness, I'm not angry. I'm just like, this is just what it is. Just like the narcissists don't change. My experience isn't going to change because we don't live on a healthy planet. We live on a planet where everybody's miserable. And so this is why you have some who rather just take out abuse on other people or sabotage other people, right? So that they don't have to deal with their own issues. And I feel like, like on an energetic level, I feel like for those of us who've done the work on ourselves, I think people can pick that up energetically as well. And it annoys them. Um, and it's just so crazy because one of the missions of the company, or mission statements, was health and wellness. And I'm like really, because I don't think what you guys did was healthy at all. But yeah, yeah, it was a setup. It was. And I'm just like, when I looked at the train, I'm like, okay, yeah, there's no way I can complete this. So they're gonna try to overwhelm me. But I just didn't think they were gonna get rid of me right away, because their demeanor towards me after that, it still stayed the same, right? It wasn't like they were being annoyed or avoidant. So but yeah, got me. They got me. Let's see. Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, let me go back down. And for those of you, um, what you call it, if you left a comment and I missed it, just go ahead and reply again and I'll find it. But yeah, it's good to hang out with you guys. Yeah, and yeah, story of my life. Okay, so life, yeah, miles in the car, I tell them wear and tear, yeah. And what's so funny too, I think about the battle between the wheat and the tear, even though you're not referring to that there. Okay, so let me know if you guys have any questions. I just kind of want to be on here temporarily. And gotta start at square one and try to figure my life out. But I think I'm just gonna use today to relax. I may be on here tomorrow. I just don't know what to talk about, right? We could talk about workplace abuse. Also, Adriana said that she will hop on and do an interview with me. So I guess I could sit down and, come up with some questions, and, kind of get her take on spiritual warfare and narcissism. So I think that would be really good. I think I want to start doing all my live streams, since I'm limited to what I can speak about as far as current events. I think it would be great to have interviews with other victims of abuse, right? So I think that would be great as well. Let's see here. It says, do you share your experiences with narcissists with friends? Because sometimes I feel the need, but I think people will think I'm crazy. Um, I would say, when it comes to sharing your experience with friends that you have in real life, I would say that kind of sprinkle some seeds and see where they are in awareness. But I know for me, a lot of people just didn't understand. And a lot of people will kind of pacify the narcissist behavior, or find a way to victim shame or blame, right? So it's hard, but it depends on what your relationship is with that person, right? So if it's somebody that maybe, let's just say, you've known for a number of years, somebody that you completely trust, I would say just kind of sprinkle some seeds and see how they take it. But it's weird, because at least in the past, a lot of people didn't understand narcissistic abuse. But now I believe, since it's becoming more mainstream, people are willing to listen. Because at first people would be like, oh, there you go, speaking that narcissist. So I'm a narcissist. Everybody's a narcissist. Well, that's all you guys say. You narcissist this and narcissist that, right? But now that we've really been able to prove our case, as far as just kind of talking about our experiences and putting them on these platforms, people actually have to sit down and kind of take it a little bit more seriously. But I would say tread lightly with that. A lot of people just don't get it. If they haven't had that experience, they don't And some of them just don't care to get it. Right. But yeah, I would limit and I would, try not to, especially if you're working on your abuse, healing from your abuse, I would try not to overshare because this is when the enemy could use that person to re-traumatize you. It happened to me in the beginning of my healing journey. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, and these demons, they out here, they're thirsty, they're hungry, they're thirsty. They are doing anything that they can do to gather supply. Um, it's crazy. Satanology for sure. Um, yeah, it's definitely spiritual. Okay, you guys, let's see here. Oh my god, the narc. She's on point. No, but they do. This is what they do. Oh my god. Oh my god, I can't. I can't. They're out here. They are hungry. They are thirsty. They're like, I'm gonna get you, bitch. I'm gonna get you. I'm like, no, you're not. But yeah. How are you? Hopefully all is well. You just missed my rant, but I'll leave the video up. Um, it says you definitely got to test the temperature of friends when it comes to talking about narcissists because they might end up finding out your friend is a covert narc. Yeah, and that's what happened to me. Like my barber was a covert narc, and I'm like teaching him about the disorder. My biological sister is a covert narc. I was teaching her about the disorder, and it makes them angry. And then they're trying to see how much you know. So then, of course, they're testing you and you ask them not to do something, then they turn around and do it. So yeah, you have to be very, very, very careful. And I actually brought up the term narcissist at one of my jobs, and I pissed off my manager. And every time it's like they don't listen to you, but as soon as you say something that is important, they make sure they hear that, right? But yeah, I would just yeah, just don't use the N word, right? And yeah, yep, I think so, especially, and then also in the legal setting too. This is what you want to do, right? Um, because they'll dismiss you as soon as you bring up the N word, right? The other N word. Yeah, but it's crazy. The gaslighting is at an all-time high. I was gonna say something else, but I forgot. What was it? What was it? Oh my god, I'm a narcissist. Everyone's a narcissist. You're just like, I'm like, okay, you can try to dismiss me as much as possible. Like, I know what the disorder is, and gaslight me as much as you want. Like, oh my god. Oh, let me see here. I'm just looking step back to see how they respond. Invalidate, sure. And a lot of them will try to invalidate you too. And it's just so unfortunate because a lot of us who've been victims of abuse, we just want to be heard. We just want to be validated. We want people to understand, like we're humans. Like we want to have a community. We want to be around people who love us. And unfortunately, for some of us, the world's like, get the fuck away from me. And I'm like, can you just love me? Get out. Get the fuck away from me. like, I'm like, damn, okay. Okay, so it says you'll feel re-traumatized by these people. And they won't take abuse seriously. And then, yeah, compile the info. Yeah. And they'll use it against you. And then they will say that, see, you must be crazy. And that's another thing. Like, look, when I talk about my resume, they'll be like, see, you must be the problem. You must be the problem because you can't keep a job. And I'm like, I am the problem. You want to know why? Because I'm a child of God. That's why. Not because I'm incompetent or dumb or slow. Right. But yeah, it's, oh my God. And then they wonder why people resort to drugs or they have all these various addictions. I'm like, because the world is just so broken. Like, oh my God. Like, if I was a weak person right now, I'll probably go buy a bottle of alcohol and be like, oh my God, I need to drink. Let me drink 2 bottles of wine because I just lost my job. Let me see here. People more likely to listen. Let me see. So yes, Blue. Don't use it. Yeah, don't use it. And some people they say that they understand narcissism, but they really don't. They think narcissism is a person who just stares at themselves and takes selfies all day. I'm like, no, we're not talking about the same thing. Yeah, it says to be fair, the demons don't attack most people. the way they do us empaths. So they really don't understand. And that's the thing. There is kind of, I'm like, we're like the cream of the crop, right? But there's a section of those of us who get abused who truly understand it, because of how empathic we are, right? So it's, if I tried to break down and tell you guys everything that I've been through in my life, you guys will be like, either this guy is lying, or some of you just wouldn't be able to relate. I've had people say I should make a movie or a book, right? And that's, and then the thing is, it's just, for somebody who's empathic, you'll be like, how does all this bad stuff happen to you? And I'm like, beats me. Shit. Okay, let me see. They only want people around who don't threaten their power. Yes. And once again, those of us who have that light within us, oh my God, they feel it through the computer screen. Oh my God. Yeah, I was considering going to couples counseling with oh no, unless you're going to use it to prove a case, right? Legally. Don't want to work out, just want a better communication between us, since I will continue anyway. I mean, I would try. The narcissists, they definitely don't expose them. I mean, they definitely don't self-reflect, so that could be used in your favor. But my heart is with you, because I can only imagine having a kid with a narcissist. Oh my God. In my experience, it's like talking to a wall if people don't understand narcs, and they try, and the things you go through can sound made up because most people won't understand. Yes. And this is very true. Right. And so, like, even when I mentioned earlier in the video of how I always have a background screen on Zoom, when I mentioned the fact that, oh, my manager had one on um, at this meeting, someone would gaslight me and say, oh, well, you're just overthinking it. Maybe she just wanted to put a background screen on her background. And I'm like, but she's never done it before. Right. It was like a way of her mocking me. But this is the games that they play, and you see how subtle it is, right? So, like, if you do call it out, you look like the crazy one. Like for instance, my neighbor taking a Sharpie to my headlight. If I would have made a police report about it, they would have looked at me like I was crazy. Like, why can't you just wipe it off, right? But this is, the subtle games that they play. Oh my God. Okay, let's see here. The N word. Okay, let's see. All right. Man, this world, and it just ceases to amaze me. I'm like, okay, once again, here we go. But I think we just have to continue, doing what's necessary, as far as exposing this thing and trying to be good people in this demonic world that wants nothing to do with us. Oh my God. Okay, let's see here. Oh my God. I wish I could have saw who the demon was at work. I'm like, who was it? Which one was it? You guys didn't give me enough time to catch it. Let's see. In real life, you are more introverted or extroverted. Oh, let me see. I'm okay. So I would want to say that I was somewhere in the middle, but in the past, I used to be more of an extrovert because I like dealing with people, but they drain me. And now, because of my awareness to the disorder and, the pandemic and whatnot, I am an introvert for sure. And the sad part is, I am so comfortable being introverted. I am so comfortable being at home all day and not communicating with people. It is scary. It's scary. And I'll just wake up and I'm like, wow, I've been doing this for 2 years and like I'm still fine. Like I haven't lost my mind or anything. Um, yeah, but I don't feel like it's healthy to be locked in the house all day. Like I don't. But these demons make you want to stay that way. Do you feel still excuse me. Do you still feel resentment from trauma or specific moments like humiliation, fear, etc.? Just write the book. Right. Let me see here. So as far as that question, I'm no longer angry. And it takes a long time to get to this point. I would want to say it took me about 3 to 4 years, but I'm no longer angry. I'm no longer angry about what happened to me as a child, from the physical abuse, the mental abuse. I'm no longer angry of what has happened to me with friends or like with these jobs. And it's because this is who the narcissist is by nature. This is who people who don't have God in them, this is who they are by nature, right? We live in a fallen world, right? We're a part of a fallen kingdom, this antichrist kingdom, this beast system. And so because everybody's highly traumatized and who has been wounded all over and over again, we really can't expect a lot of people to make healthy decisions. And so I believe for those of us who, in spite of the trauma that we've gone through, we find a way to overcome. A lot of people are bothered by that. And for those of us who are sure of ourselves, when people try to make us feel inferior and they don't understand why we don't, display any type of negative emotions when it comes to that, that also bothers them because it forces them to reflect on who they are. And a lot of people just don't want to. A lot of people would rather be the victim. Um, and if they have somebody in close proximity who doesn't behave that way, they have to do everything in their power to get away from that person because then that person is going to force them to look inward, which they don't want to do. Let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, being a misfit to this world is a very interesting thing. Oh my God. That's why I'm like, this is not my world. I don't care what anybody says. This is not my world. Okay, so it seems like a lie. That's why it's so easy for them to gaslight us. Is because our lives aren't even believable to us. Yup. Amen to that. Amen to that. I have gotten over the cognitive dissonance and the shock. Yeah, and I think that's the beginning, right? Getting over the cognitive dissonance and the shock. Like, oh my God, but that process, oh, it is brutal. It is so brutal. What was I going to say? Yeah. And like I said, if I had somebody like let's just say I take myself outside of myself and I had somebody come up to me and I'm like, oh, that person seems awesome. And they start telling me everything that they went through, I don't even know how I would feel about it because I'm like, that's a lot. And you don't seem like a bad person. So why is all this stuff happening to you? And it's never happened to me. Right. So I completely understand. But the world embraces its own and they ostracize, those of us who are not of this world. All right. It says, I think the shock and cognitive dissonance was present when I had, the brain fog. Oh my God. Yeah. And I feel like the shock will cause it would cause your brain to shut off. Right. So there was about 6 months where my brain just did not function. Right. Because it was processing the trauma and like repairing itself. Were there any decent employees at your last place? I thought all of them were decent. Okay, there was one. There was one I had an eye on. He seemed decent, but he was like, IM me. He was like, "Can you change your title?" And I'm like, "Okay." And he's like, "You can you not put an N and put a plus sign?" And I was like, so I was a finance and operations assistant. And because I put Ann, he was like, "Can you change that?" So I was like, I'm gonna keep an eye on you. But yeah. So, but everybody seemed decent. There was a lot of creatives there. Um, but I feel like a lot of people were willing to serve that codependent role, or maybe they were just so good at their job where the manager just left them alone, right? But yeah, I for the most part, everybody seemed decent. So it kind of caught me off guard. I mean, I knew that the CEO was, kind of a lot. I'll say that. I don't know if she was a narcissist, right? But she was a lot. And because she reminded me of a narcissist that I used to be really close with, I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep my distance from her because I don't want her to, trigger me. But yeah, but everybody seemed great. But the company was very small. It was probably, I think there was a total of like 20 of us, 21. But they're looking to expand, which is why they brought new people on. Stay locked in a motel room all day, trying to stay out of trouble. And I feel like, honestly, at this point, it's probably just best. Like, you guys can hear my voice now. It's because I went running, right? And so, like, I inhaled whatever they have in the sky, and like now I have to, detox. But I think it's best to stay inside these days. Okay, so I had to tell myself, don't try to make sense of the storm while you're still in it. Yeah, just focus on getting out of the storm. What a narcissist does will never make true sense. They want us confused. Yes. And so this is all a part of the gaslighting. And they're so good at it too, especially if you don't know what the disorder is. You cannot understand the narcissist, and it's done that way by design. And and that's another thing for those of you in the abuse. It's just important to make sure that you can do everything that is possible to get out, because you're not going to understand, like you said, you're not going to be able to understand the storm while you're in it. You just have to focus on getting out of the storm. So I'm pretty sure over the next few days or weeks, I'm going to see more red flags. Um, but because I just got out of the situation, I missed a lot of it. Right. And another reason why the narcissist overwhelms you is so that you can't see these tactics because you're busy doing something else. Right. So that's why, because I knew in the beginning, I was like, okay, it seems like they're trying to get their hooks in me with like having me go to this event. And I'm like, my background check hasn't even passed yet. Right. So that was kind of like a red flag. And then them overwhelming me with assignments and to complete in such a period of time. I was like, that's another red flag. And then, the CEO having a temper tantrum during one of our Zoom meetings. I was like, okay. But those were the only ones that I caught. Let's see here. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. But with all these things that happens, it shows and proves to us that we need to have a relationship with the creator. Like we need God, right? And for those of you who aren't spiritual, I would just say, just reach out and, try to have a conversation, with God, as far as, questioning his existence. Because, if you're on this channel, you've gone through narcissistic abuse, you've gone through the gang stalking, you've gone through trauma, you've been gaslit your whole life, and there's a reason for it. There's a reason why these demons can't stand you, and they always have a trap for you. So I guess just use these experiences as a learning, as something to learn from. Can you talk about the process of restructuring of yourself after the brain fog, and the consciousness that you gain? This really changes and damages us. And our brain, on brutal levels. Okay, so let's see. Okay, cool. Where do I start? The brain fog, the brain damage. Okay, so I woke up to narcissistic abuse at the end of 2018. Once I went no contact, this is when I started to have problems with my brain. And it was like my brain had completely shut off. And I think once you understand what has happened to you and you start processing the different emotions, right? So the anger, the confusion, the anger, the sadness, learning that the person that you loved and cared for never existed. When you add in the spiritual component of narcissism, right? It's shocking. So your body goes through this tremendous level of shock. And as your brain is kind of, I want to say, detoxifying from all the trauma that you've gone through, you'll have high levels of brain fog. So I would say there's some different things that you can do for that, right? So I took this infoceutical, and it dealt with audio processing and trauma. And once I took that, in maybe about a week, I decided to create the channel because I was no longer in the fog. I would also say supplement with NAC. I forget what it stands for, but it's like a precursor to glutathione, which is going to help with liver detoxification. That's also going to help with the brain fog. And then just kind of being patient with yourself, right? So, at least in my case, my brain was able to perform the basic functions of life. I just couldn't pick up a book and read it. I just couldn't study. So I just kind of allowed my brain to kind of recalibrate. Um, and I continue pushing myself to understand what narcissism was and to understand my experience, and allowed myself to continue to go through the stages of grief. And as I began to do that, I slowly started to get better. And then another great thing that helped me was heavy metal detoxification. When you all will be amazed at how clean and sharp your mind can be once you start getting these metals out. Now, when you first start, it's going to be rough. It's going to be very rough. But once you start getting these metals out, you will be so clear, right? So I would say, like, in my case, I took a lot of chelating agents, right? So EDTA was great for me, and then DMSA was also very good. And then, that followed up with a lot of liquids and a healthy, diet. But yeah, the brain fog is a thing. And um, in addition to the brain fog, your amygdala, right? So that's going to be a sector of your brain or a portion of your brain. Um, it's since you've been traumatized your whole life, it's overactive. And so as you become aware of what the disorder is, you make sense of what has happened to you, it's going to be running rampant, right? Because now your body knows what narcissism is, it knows what to look for. And so when it sees it in real life, it's going to be like, you're in danger, you're in danger, you're in danger. There's a predator, there's a predator, there's a predator. And so then you'll start having like panic attacks, or you'll have high levels of anxiety. And it's because your amygdala all your life has been overactive, right? And so you have to find ways to like calm that down. So breathing techniques, releasing, trauma within the body. I'm trying to think of other things that I did. Um, spending time alone and kind of limiting yourself from abusive people will help with that repair as well. Um, but yeah, so that's a thing. And so I went through shit. I'm trying to think, how long did I go through the paranoia? Mm, Maybe for like 6 months. And it was the only thing that stopped it for me was the pandemic. Right. And so once I got to pull back from the world and the world was shut down for a year, um, I stopped going through this abuse. Right. So when you wake up to narcissism, the enemy or these demons, this demonic spirit, whatever they're controlled by, whatever dark entity that they're controlled by, is going to manifest any and everywhere in your life to keep you, to try to push you back into a state of submission and confusion, because it doesn't want you aware of its existence. And as you become aware, there's a price that you will pay, right? Hence why I keep having all these problems with every job that I work at, because not only do I understand the disorder, I'm exposing it. And so there's a price that you pay, right? But I would say try to limit as many relationships as you have, especially if they're toxic, so that the enemy isn't able to use that person to re traumatize you, right? And force yourself to accept uncomfortable truths about what has happened to you in your life. Um, and, through that process, your brain will recover, but it gets worse before it gets better, right? And your hormones may be off and you might gain a lot of weight, and it might take you a while to refine yourself, the empowered version of yourself, but it can be done. And I'm living proof. But it does take a long time. Like it takes a long time. Okay, same here. Brain fog was so bad. I felt brain dead pretty much. Couldn't even think on my own thoughts. I'm so glad I have it back. I missed my mind for a long time. Yes. And I would say also another thing too with trying to help with the brain fog is doing a candida detox. So what happens is, because you're in fight or flight, your blood sugar levels are extremely high. And then a lot of us will take things to increase our blood sugar levels because we're trying to find ways to cope. And the body's just under so much stress. So caffeine, high sugar diets, alcohol. And so what happens is this blood sugar, or the yeast in the body, feeds off of the sugar within the blood. And so you'll get a candida overgrowth, which is, once again, it's the fungus in the body. And so this will impair your ability to think as well. So finding some herbs to help detoxify the body of that is going to be great. Right. So you see how these narcissists just fuck us up, like everything. Like they fuck up our bodies, they fuck up our minds. Oh my God. And this is why a lot of us stress the importance of no contact, because a lot of people don't even really get to the brain fog state, or they're at least not aware of it until they leave the narcissist. But when they're when they're still in the relationship with the narcissist, they're still in a constant state of fight or flight. And the longer your body is exposed to that trauma, this is where you're going to see things such as cancer arising, or fibromyalgia, or multiple sclerosis, right? Because your body, we weren't made to endure trauma like this every day, right? And so yes, but the brain fog is a thing, and people who have recovered from this type of abuse. They've all talked about that moment where they felt like what felt like a rubber band snapping, and then in their head and they had this level of clarity. And the same thing happened to me like 3 times. And yeah. And so, even though these narcissists will try to tell you, oh, well, you don't have what we're looking for and you're stupid or you're this, you're slow. My mental clarity now it's sharper than anything that I've had in my entire life. Right. So you can get over it. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. It says, so during these tax refund times, how do you feel about people trying to dictate how you should spend your own tax refund? I don't pay them any attention. It's like, obviously the world doesn't know what they're doing. Like, look at what's going on now. What's been going on for the past 2 years. They don't know what they're doing. So I wouldn't take any advice from them. Um, but yeah, I would say even with that, I would say for those of you who get it, try to save it too. It might help you out, especially if you're in a situation similar to the one that I just experienced. Okay, so my friend, you have to get out and get fresh air, see people, nature. Nature is also important. I really did underestimate the importance of sunlight and grounding. And so this is something that I'm going to try to do more of. I try not to go outside as often because our skies aren't as clear where I'm at. Um, but I really do feel like it's very important to get sunlight and to connect back with nature because I feel like this is what we were made to be a part of nature, right? Let's see. I think we need to get out and enjoy nature. Yes, I agree. I definitely agree. Okay, so narcissistic abusers always think they are the wisest people in the world, talking about how you should spend your money wisely. Former foster mother used to give us an allowance, only $20 a month. I was always promised an allowance, but somehow I never got it. But I still had to hold my end of the bargain, which was like doing a whole bunch of chores. Yeah, let's see here. I went no contact with my family in the tail end of 2018 as well. I feel like a lot of us started waking up to it in 2000. I felt like some of the first videos I saw were from 2016, and then a lot of us started waking up. Like, once I realized what the disorder was, I was like, okay, well, if I choose to keep these people in my life, like, it's my fault. So I know what to look for. I see them sabotaging me in real life, and I don't want to be a codependent anymore. I don't want to hold on to this trauma anymore. I don't want to have all these aches and pains in my body anymore, and I don't want to doubt myself anymore. So I was like, it's time to let them go. It's time to take out the trash. Okay, so we need a whole supplement list from you. Yeah, I used to have it, but YT is pretty strict on it, especially if I start talking about heavy metals, man. Oh my God. Oh, and then by the way, I'm almost done reading the book Prey that deals with artificial intelligence, I guess I can call it. I don't want to use the other buzzword. But once I'm done with that book, I want to have a chat about it. Okay, let's see here. It would be interesting to have our own brain scan to see the difference between us and I know. It's like a section of my brain is completely shut off. And like, this section of your brain doesn't work. Or it's wired differently. I'm like, oh yeah, I went through a lot of trauma growing up. So I can understand that. But the brain it's a pretty amazing thing, right? So I was working on this book. It's called The Brain That Changes Itself. And through willpower, you can change your brain. Like, you literally can change it. It talks about people who were traumatized and reprogrammed their brains to people who had strokes and couldn't move a limb, but kept working, and their body was able to that part of their brain was dead, but the brain was able to rewire itself so that they can walk again. So the brain is very amazing. It's hard for me to detox heavy metals because the entire back of my mouth is filled. Oh shoot. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's hard. That is yeah. I would say yeah, and hold off on it if you do have amalgam fillings because it'll just make it worse. That part, yes, that's what I was talking about. Okay, so yeah. Oh, the awakening process of the brain fog. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot. And you just have to have trust in yourself that you can get over it. And you have to have trust. For me, it's trust in the creator, right? And I was like, okay, Lord, I know this is going to be hard. And I know I'm probably going to go through a deep depression, which I did for 6 months, but I overcame. right? So it's oh my god, it's hard when you're aware of them. Even the strangers, yeah, they know, and they just get so uncomfortable with me now. It's crazy, and I'm like, no, we can be friends. We can be friends. Be my friend. Can you imagine being a humanitarian but nobody likes you? My God, why do you have me on this planet? Like nobody fucks with me. Okay, so let's see. Let's see here. Yeah, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. And man, when I tell you, I'm everywhere. Let me see here. I'm just looking at this. Oh my god. So yeah, I'm stuck with the opera right now, constantly getting injections, the lips, the fillers. And I'm like, okay, so you guys know that that field. I'm not gonna even read this out loud, right? But you all know that that field does not know what they're doing. Like this pandemic is a a huge example. So when it comes to injecting your body with substances, just stop. Just stop, because maybe 10 years down the road, they're gonna be like, do you know anybody who has gotten these fillers, and please call this number, right? Like we already know that there's problems with breast implant illness, right? So you're still putting these type of ingredients in your body. It's not made to be there. And really, you have to learn to love yourself from the inside out. There's no injection or no type of cosmetic treatment that's going to make you love yourself better. It's only going to draw more predators to you and keep you in a traumatized state, right? That's all it's going to do. But anyway, that's my little rant. Oh yeah, the brain fog was awful. Oh my god, tell me about it. Like it was so bad. Like I could not even read a book. Like I was taking a chemistry class. I literally read one problem on the lab, like directions, by the way. I read it like 5 times, and my lab partner was like, "You don't get it?" And I'm like, "No, I'm so sorry." And it was at an all-time high. It was like right when I went no contact. Okay, so all that I have lost is worth all the peace I've gained. Yes, yes, yes. And no contact will save your life. It will save it. All right. Let's see here. Still in fight or flight. I need to get away from these folks. Yeah. And you'll be a different person. And you will think prior to that that you never had a problem. You would say to yourself, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm normal." And then once you get a level of peace and you really start experiencing life without these demons in it, you will feel so much better. Like it is crazy. That's why I'm thankful. I'm so thankful for all the negative experiences that I've had. And even with this job, it didn't work out, but I'm still thankful that I worked it, because it's constantly teaching you, right? And validating your experience. And I'm showing you as to why, it's important not to, have all these crazy relationships, right? Because the world really does like to re-traumatize us. Okay, I saw something on a video about the brain with trauma versus trauma versus without, and then the person with trauma was able to heal their brain also. Yeah, and once again, the brain is an amazing thing. Whatever you have the will to fix, you can fix. You can. Okay, I saw a YouTube video about narcissism in 2016. Yeah, I think the oldest one that I saw was 2008, and I'm like, damn, you were on it back in 2008. I wish, I wish. And I'm like, how did I not know about this disorder, man? But I just think it wasn't time for me to know, because I looked for it. And back in shit, back in 2004, I was looking for it. I'm like, what is it? What do these people have? Let me see here. Oh, yeah, that's the book that I'm reading. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's it's okay. Like I can tell he has a lot of information on this type of technology. I have about 100 pages left, but what's interesting is the self-replicating component and how these things can I'm going on a side tangent, you all, but how these things can use what's naturally in the body to self-replicate, even bacteria, which that's the crazy part. But I believe that there's some similarities or commonalities between what we saw in that book, which was written in I think 2000, versus what we've been seeing over the last 2 years. So I'll let you know about it, but I'll finish it today now that I have time. No, they didn't like me. I'm like, why, you guys? They didn't like me. Okay, let's see here. So let's see. It says, I've seen metals come out of people, like come out of people near you, maybe near you. I couldn't do the cleanse. Yeah, and so there was, I think that this technology is evolving, and as it evolves, it's becoming more microscopic. So there was something out there, I'm not going to say the word, but people were reporting something coming out of their skin. And I did some research on it. There was a German scientist who was really on top of that. Oh, and that's another thing too. I think that because I did mention with my job the whole um, new generation of airwaves that we have going on. I'm not going to say it. Um, it ends with a G, and I think that kind of pissed them off too because they're going to automatically throw me in a category as a conspiracy theorist, right? So, okay, so let me see, showing us some serious effects. Let me see, where is it? But yeah, it's heavy metal detoxification is amazing. It is something that I'm still doing now because I have a lot of uranium in my body. Okay, so let's see. I've never even had a facial. It's so easy to okay, so went through the deep depression I kept having. This visual of being, oh, let me say, oh no, I thought it was another word. Rope down in the ground. I actually felt a heaviness like being weighted down. Yeah, and when what's interesting too is as you start awakening to this disorder, you will start having. I feel like you get attacked in the spiritual realm. So it was happening to me right before I learned about it, and so you'll start experiencing like sleep paralysis, or you're having really bad dreams. Um, you'll like wake up angry because of a dream you had. Like it's the craziest thing, but you just have to allow your body to heal and continue to pray for protection because these demons be out here. Okay, so let's see here. All right. Checking some of these comments. Maybe, maybe not. And Tay, because of you, I'm putting all your information out there, but this vitamin C video you recommended, oh my God, it's phenomenal. Like when I tell you, I underestimated the power of vitamin C. Man, I feel like it might be the cure to a lot of things going on. But yeah, it is amazing. Okay, so your body puts off healing until until you're really out when you shut down. Yeah, yeah. Happening multiple times and getting bamboozled with narcs. Yeah, because the body is just trying to do everything in its power to keep you alive. So if it can push some stuff in the background, it will until you get out of that abusive environment, and then it will definitely fixing it. It'll start working on it, right? And you have to once you get in a safe space, you have to work on healing from the abuse because the longer you hold on to it, the worst like let's just say the worst various addictions that you have are going to be because your body's always going to look for a way to cope, always. So if you're holding on to all this trauma that stems from childhood, so like decades, years, um it's going to find anything possible to make you feel good, to make you feel better, because it doesn't want to keep you in that state. Right. And so this is why people have problems with like sex or porn or drugs, because it's trying to, it's trying to make you feel better. But as you start doing the work on yourself and you start releasing these traumas and you start forgiving, a weight will be lifted off of you. And you won't be controlled by these, various addictions that the majority of people have on the planet because it's not healthy, right? Let's see. It says, let's see here. Um, oh, I want to read the second book too. Yeah, I can't wait to finish this book though, you guys. It's so good, but I know that it's going to get me in trouble if I share it on the channel. But it's good. Like I think a total of I'm almost done with the book, and I only read it for like 4 days. But yeah, it's a really good read. The humanitarian who nobody likes. I should wear a t-shirt. I should wear a t-shirt. Shoot, that should be the title of my book, huh? I'm like, it would be a bestseller if the world wasn't ran by narcs, right? But oh my god, you guys. It's like why do people gotta be the way that they are? Like, why? Like, I'm thinking about the situation that I had earlier this morning. I'm like, damn, like, why? Why, you guys? Like, why? I'm so let down by your behavior. Okay, let's see here. What are you talking about? We should have a book of all of our stories. That would be cool. That actually would be cool. Right. We'll just kind of have to water down our traumas so that people can actually read it. Yeah, no, I watched it. I love videos like that. I love it, right? Anything that questions the mainstream narrative in healthcare, send those videos to me and I will watch it. And I'll put it on level 1.5 and I will absorb all the information and take notes and start applying it in my real life. And I really did underestimate the power of vitamin C. Like I really did. And it's great. It is great. Narcissistic gang stalkers don't want me to eat. This morning I had a bad dream about being back at my elementary school cafeteria and a lady refusing to serve me food. Oh my God. I had a weird dream too about school. I was graduating and I missed my graduation. I'm like, it better not be related to the rapture because if I miss that stuff. But yeah, so I was graduating and yeah, my graduation had already taken place. And they're like, it took place yesterday. And I'm like, right. So I'm looking at my adopted family. I'm like, why didn't you guys tell me this? But yeah, it was a strange dream. Let's see here. I think it would be a pretty good book and it'd be easy to come up with because we would all just have to focus on our own personal like testimony or story and we could get it done up. Maybe that would be a good idea. We'll have some chats, um, and like learn about some of these stories. Let's see. I used to overeat due to narcissistic abuse. Same. That's another way to cope, right? I'm glad I don't eat. I don't do comfort eating anymore. Yeah, that's and once again, your body's going to try to find anything that it can to cope. And a lot of people who are overweight, people will look at them and say, "Oh, well, you're fat because you eat all these foods and you don't know how to control yourself." Hormones can make you fat. Being in fight or flight for the majority of your life can make you fat. Haven't you seen some people who are just so big they look swollen? Like everything about them from like their arms, their feet, that's trauma. That's trauma, right? If you really examine some of these people, they eat like maybe one meal a day, but because they're holding on to this toxic energy, their body is highly inflamed because they're subjecting themselves to this toxicity every day. This is where, the weight just gets out of control. Same thing happens to me, right? Now I'm wondering if I'll start gaining weight with this job. I can't tell yet. It was too short. Let's see here. Yes. Yeah. Let's see. I think I have it in my email. I should share it with you all. They probably deleted it off of YouTube by now. They tried to run the doctor out of her career, like they always do when they start telling the truth. So unfortunate. I think I watched the majority of the videos you sent me. I think there was one where I didn't like the content. Well, the lady speaking, but I think I watched like all of them except one. Let's see. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Call me when you need more on our trauma book. Yeah, yeah. It says I missed my graduation last week too. Take care. Take care. All right, let's see here. Yeah, yeah, this was her name. Yeah. I like how you spaced it. You're smart. You're smart. Oh my god. Yeah, it's trauma, right? And it's something about I want to say, ooh, I can't remember which one it was. I don't know if it was abandonment or neglect. I think that's kind of the same thing. But for children, I think it was abandonment. You have digestive issues or maybe anger. But yeah, so like we'll hold these traumas in and then it will interfere with our body's natural processes. Um, so yeah, so when I say these narcs can do a number on you, they can do a number on you, right? We'll have you out here paranoid, they'll have you overweight, they'll have you being addicted to like, let's just say alcohol. Um, they'll have you doubting yourself, feeling sorry for yourself. They'll keep attracting more toxic situations to you. They really try to cut you off from God, right? Because they just want us to be miserable so that we don't even seek a creator. And then for those of us who have a creator, Like they can't really do anything to us. We're just like, okay, we already know what the game is. We already know. Let's see. Yeah, water it down. Yeah, we because if we start talking about like our deep, deep traumas, right? People will be like, well, I can't read this. This is too much. Yeah, we'll have to water it down a little bit. Yeah. So the normies don't think we're crazy. Yeah. Um, yeah, it is crazy, but it's good to, finally get back on here with you guys. Because you guys have been missing me for, some time. But I'm happy to be back. And it's funny because it's kind of let me see, it's a gloomy day. It's getting ready to rain. I'm like, the timing, right? But yeah, as far as, going back to myself, right? But as far as the experience that I just encountered today, I'm not sad. Maybe it'll hit me later. Um, but I don't like to be in places that where I'm not welcome. And so a lot of the jobs that I've walked away from, I was never welcome. Right. So this is why I left. I don't like looking over my back, right? Or being monitored because it would have been something else. That would have been like, well, we noticed you're logging out 5 minutes before your shift ends. And I'm like, but I'm on salary though. They would have found something, right? So let's see here. Do you remember what millennials said about victims coming together and becoming a piss contest unintentionally? I keep that in mind. Yeah, and once again, a lot of covert narcs act like they play the victim too, and so it's like, well, I had it worse than you because this happened to me, right? I'm just like, and it's abuse is abuse. Some of us have gone through things, others have gone through more. Um, but it's like you can't be the victim forever, right? Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, oh my god, I miss the conspiracy nights too. So I have a excuse me, I have a strike on the channel and it ends this month. So once the strike is over, I'll bring conspiracy nights back cuz that's where I got the most views, the most engagements. And we could really talk about some crazy stuff, but it seems like they just keep changing, the AI system that runs this platform and I don't know. There's buzzwords for sure, and I don't know where they're getting this information from, but there's somebody that I follow, and that person they had another video taken down like within less than a week of each other. It was like the very next day they were off of punishment. They got another. So it's like I said, this platform treats us like scapegoats too. They don't like us either, right? And they blame you for your own addictions. Yeah, it's like they set you up to be a failure, right? They set you up to be a failure. And then when you're out there struggling, they're like, look at you, look at you. And then it's crazy. And then so some of us thought we could get smart and we're like, okay, well, if I go no contact with you, I should be fine. But like then the world treats us the same way. I swear the world wants me down and out. The world wants me homeless. The world doesn't want me to have nothing. It's like you have a car, I'm gonna destroy your car, right? You have an apartment, I'm gonna monitor while you're in your apartment. You have a job, I'm gonna take that away from you. Oh my god. And so it's just like I was watching another content creator. I think it's called the Soft Underbelly or something. And so he pretty much exposes the hardships of life in America. So he'll talk to people, former drug addicts, people who have gone into sex work, and you'll just listen to their stories. And he always starts off. He was like, "What was your childhood like?" Now, some of them will make up lies about their childhood, but you can tell from their body language that it wasn't healthy. And then others will say, I had a horrible childhood. And, you go through this abuse at an early age, and, a lot of things that a lot of us just realize that, society doesn't want anything to do with us. And so some people give up and, or some people resort to drugs or find themselves homeless. And, um, it's really sad to to watch and to understand, right, and to experience. But that's why I feel like channels such as this one is important because it's like I'm only exposing this information um so that people know that they're not alone, and so that people know that there is a God out there. And even though this world seems such like a dark place, and gives us hell over and over again, even if we try to stay away from the abuse and the drama. God is out there, and all we have to do is reach back out to Him, right? Um, because the world needs God right now. Oh my God. Okay, so let's see here. Let me drink some water. Like drinking water with like boron in it. Maybe Jake will know why. Okay, so let's see. And Joseph, I know you were in the chat earlier. I don't know if I shouted you out. I think you were in the middle of chatting, but like shout out to you. I like you a lot. Okay, so just looking at this. She has a lot of videos, but magically disappeared through the years. Yeah. Oh my God. And then that's, she's a true hero, right? So she's a doctor who is literally healing her patients, and the world is like, take away her license. All right. Let's see here. I also have bloating problems. Yeah, same here. I do too. Everything that I take makes me bloat. Everything. Like I've been so inflamed. I like got on camera and looked at my face. I'm like, oh my God, my face is fat. Um, but yeah. It's like every time I'm around these people, it's let me see. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that was weird. I don't know if it was real. I hope it wasn't real because that's scary if it was real. Um, I thought they were gonna pull it off. I have another one that I saw on BitChute. You guys should check out what is his name? It's called Jim Crenshaw. You should check out his channel on BitChute. He showed an image where I was like, oh my God, I hope that's not real. I'm like, like I said, the world ceases to amaze me. Okay, so I can imagine a lot of victims of narc abuse are homeless. Yeah, narc abuse, sexual abuse. Um, like imagine, like it's so easy to be homeless. Like it's like I'm a few paychecks away from being homeless, right? It's because it is. Like imagine you have a family that hates you, that abused you, and then you're holding on to this trauma. You meet somebody, and let's just say you're a woman, you meet somebody, and this guy seems like Prince Charming, and then he devalues you and then throws you out. You leave your community, and now you're just, you know, out there, you have nobody, and then somebody offers drugs to you. And you take a whiff of these drugs, and it's the first time in your life where you felt any ounce of pleasure. The first time because your life has been so fucking miserable. And then you get addicted to it, right? It's not like these drugs aren't made to be addictive. And then you become a slave to these drugs because you want to escape from a world that has treated you so fucking poorly your entire life, right? And then as a society, we look down on those people and we don't care about them. But society wants them around because they makes them feel better about themselves when they get up and go to their jobs where they completely BS everything, right? Have, I yeah, I'm getting on a tangent, right? But it's, and it's good to watch the stories of these people, right? To understand, to really ignite that empathy within us, right? Because there's no way humans should be treated this way. And just because we don't see them every day doesn't mean that they're not out there, right? And once again, we could be those people, right? That could have been a direction for me. I was always told when I was young that I was going to end up on the streets, always. And I'm like, no, I won't. And then I start working for these jobs, and they're like, get out, you're fired. I'm like, shit, my adoptive father may be right. Okay, let's see. The perps have threatened me to make me back homeless on the streets again. See, and that's another thing. Like for those of us who have to consider, like, oh shit, is it going to get bad where I'm gonna have to live in my car? I was listening to somebody else, like, oh well, she was saying, okay, well maybe I'll learn how to drive, and then I could just live in my car because the abuse is so bad. Like it's like we can't even go anywhere. It's ridiculous. Okay, so it says be careful with that. Okay. Okay, I just started watching him. Now, I don't watch because of him because I always kind of wonder with him, as far as like, why are you showing this stuff? But the stories that he does share, some of them are touching, right? Um, but yeah, I definitely agree. Let's see here. So, I was skinny as a teenager, but I was always running away from narcs, and now now I look back, right? And like even me, when I look at like the men in my biological family, I'm just supposed to be like skinny and tall, right? And all these added pounds that I have on me, um, they shouldn't even be on me, right? But it's because of the abuse, right? And I'm not like obese, but I could definitely, lose some weight. Let's see here. So I thought I was the only one being called greedy. No, no, I've been called greedy too. Like these demons, they wouldn't even let me serve my plate growing up. Like they would serve it for me and then get mad at, they would make fun of me about the way that I eat. Until this day, I still think about it when I eat because, and it's just something so like small, but like I'm the type of person that I work on one food item and then I move on to the next food item, right? And it's like, look at you. Why do you eat like that? Like I all my life, I've never met somebody who eats like that, right? And then I'll be looking at his plate. I'm like, well, you eat like a dog. So I'm like, the way you I'm like, I can't. But yeah, my childhood. Okay, so let's see here. Let us know if you want to watch it in words. Oh yeah, yeah. I got to think of it. I don't even know what the algorithm flags. So yeah, I found the vitamin C video. Oh, see, it's good. You better watch it. You better watch it. Apparently, it's a cure for a lot of things out here. Let's see. Yeah, it's so crazy, right? And I feel like when you're so broken down, these are when these demonic spirits can come into your life and like take over you, and then you'll become a slave to the addiction. Like I was watching one where it was like she was an escort, and she was talking about how awesome it was, and I'm like, you and I both know that it's not awesome, right? You're gaslighting yourself. And I believe like when you get into these different experiences, the more you do it, the more that dark spirit can come into your body. So this is like likened to the Jezebel spirit that they talk about in the Bible. And it's like if you play with fire, it'll transform you, right? But once again, what happened to her to make her go in that direction, right? And she even, this woman even talked about everyone needs an escape. So she obviously knows that this world is, demonic, right? And horrible. Okay, so let's see. I also believe many people are homeless as a result of narcissistic abuse. Oh yeah, for sure. And a lot of them, you listen to their stories and they've gone through it, right? Even when it comes to the sexual abuse, right? I can only imagine. Like it's, oh my God. Okay, let's see. It says my mother used to tell me that I'll end up on the streets too. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that these, I think words can be powerful, and I think people place curses on you. So people will place a curse on who they want you to be, right? And then that stuff will start manifesting in your life and they'll be like, see, but it's really a curse that they placed on you. Okay. So, and I think what gives it power is if you believe them. Yeah. Like they'll kick you out. They'll kick you out and then turn around and blame you. They'll try to set you up. They won't give you anything, and then they want you to come running back. Um, and then you'll just be the laughing stock of the family, right? And if they can't find information on you, they'll just start making up shit about you, right? So my adopted family, they believe I'm a drug addict, right, and a drunk. And I'm like, oh my God, if I'm a drug addict, the only thing that, I'm addicted to is caffeine. And I guess you can say like supplements, like vitamins, but those are my only drugs. Right. But they just, I don't know, miserable people. Yeah, I think OCD is caused by trauma too. My mom would throw me out. My sister had to wander around and eat oranges. And, and you see some of the childhoods, and maybe people on the outside would have never even known your mom was that way, right? Yeah, and then you always have one parent who's like the enabler, right? Who sees the abuse for what it is and will get mad at the person calling out the abuse for what it is, and they're like, "How dare you? This is family secrets." And it's just like, well, why are you always protecting the demon? Like, why? When I got pregnant, I started researching, and all the yeah. I think that there's ways to detox from this stuff too. They just don't want us to know it, right? It's like who knows what they're trying to inject us with. I can't even talk about that. Let's see. Point at you and say, I rebuke the court. Yeah. Because I do. I think that I've had a few curses placed on me as well. Also another book is called, shoot, what is it called? One second. Operating in the Courts of Heaven. I'm gonna read it. It helps, it's supposed to talk about spiritual warfare and how to pray. So once I complete that, now that I'll have a little bit more time, I will bring it on to the channel. Yeah, and this vitamin K thing is weird too. I swear everything the medical field is doing is the opposite of what they should be doing. Like literally the opposite. That means somebody knows the truth and they are literally spinning it to harm humanity. Okay, so I have OCD tendencies, trying to arrange things in the house. Um, the last amount of things could go wrong. Once I peeped to do that, I was like, oh my God. Let me see here, you guys. Just looking at a text message really quick. 1 second. Still here, but I'm not here. Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, so just checking my job, got my equipment, and it was nice. Okay, so just got that later. I don't know why. So they got my equipment. And did I get an email from homegirl? Nope. She's like, I refuse to email you. Being fired is awkward because I'm like, am I supposed to hate you for firing me now? Oh my God, it's so awkward. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, I think once again, I think abuse. I had a roommate who was a narcissist, and she was the golden child of her family. And her mother had a bond. Like it was so unbreakable. They were like the same person, but the eldest daughter was OCD, and I mean, you could have like a microscopic hair on the sink, and she will see it. Right? You could leave the top lock unlocked, and she will notice it right away. Like it was crazy, but I think that it's more of the victim of that abuse trying to have control over their lives, and so it's like this overcorrection, right? um yeah, so yeah, I didn't get the OCD thing. Let's see here. Oh wow, see, so maybe it's a sign, right? For either you or me to look into this topic. Another one, it's called tartaria, right? This is random, but it's called tartaria, right? So this is supposed to be like this what would I even call it? I can't even think. I'm having like a brain fart right now. It was pretty much this country that existed, that was kind of like scraped out of history books. And I was watching one content creator talk about it over, I forget what was the main topic of the video, but I'm like, I want to look into that. And then yesterday, I looked at another video and then it came up again, but it was from a different content creator. I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to look into Tartaria, right? To see what timeline we're on. Okay, let's see. Okay, so if you look, okay, not going to say that. Very interesting. And I feel like, honestly, when it comes to some of these reports that we see in the news, I swear it's like demons operating through people or around these people, because the stories, the way they sync up to things that we find in other forms of media, it is crazy, crazy. Okay, so not to mention the US Navy. Ugh, goodness gracious. And that's another thing, right? They bring you in and they try to break you down. They haze you, right? This is what boot camp is all about, so that they can control you and teach you not to think but only take orders. Like some of the stuff, like I would not survive in the military. They'll like get him out of here, right? It's just like narcissistic abuse on steroids, right? And then people are like, oh, they made me a better person. I'm like, I guess, like if you like being told what to do all the time. Let's see here. Oh my God. I am so thankful, right? And any of you who have like done like hardcore drugs and like had dealt with various addictions, this is no offense to you guys. No offense. But I'm so thankful that I did not get hung out on some drugs. Cause I mean, imagine, like, I can only imagine, because I don't even know if I would be able to break free from it. And another thing is, too, um, they said that my mother had a problem with drugs. So I feel like some of this stuff is genetic. And I'm like, oh my God. But my heart goes out to people, who've had, these challenges, right? Like, definitely goes out. See, look, see, this is a sign I'm supposed to look into Tartaria, right? um, it just keeps coming up. Like in the last month, it's come up like 3 or 4 times from in the last 2 months from different content creators. One content creator was talking about, she's like a biblical person. Another one's like a conspiratorial one. Another one, it was like a scientific content creator, and they all talked about it. So I'm like, I gotta look it up. All right, so let's see here. It says, I was saying the way you have to eat sounds like OCD caused by trauma. Oh, no, no, no. Like, that's just the way I eat. That is just the way I eat. I eat like that to this day. I don't know. Like, so you guys like mixing food up? Like, I like, if I'm like, okay, let's just say I had macaroni, I had chicken. Like, I'm saying what I got from El Pollo Loco, right? So macaroni, chicken, tortillas. So let's just say, yeah, those are my 3 items that I get, right? I will start off with the tortillas for first, because when they get cold, they're nasty. And then I will go to the chicken and then eat the chicken. And then I'll go to the macaroni. And then let's just say if I have dessert, then I'll go to the dessert. I can't just eat a bite of chicken and then go to the macaroni and then go to the tortillas. Like, I'm like, no, it has to be spaced out if it's not already made as one thing, like a burrito. But I guess, is that weird? Is that a weird thing about me? Let's see here. Um Oh wow, so you're in it for a while. Yeah, I think, I never really, I think it's because I don't like war. And, by that time I think we were in the Iraq war or whatever. And so I was like, I can't do the military thing. But if college wasn't an option, then I would have no choice but to have joined the military. Yes, the military has to break you down mentally so you don't think for yourself. I wonder which department I would have gone into, or which sector of the military I would have gone into if I would have done it. I don't know. It probably would have made me worse because I would have just dealt with narcissists. Like, I already know it would have been bad. Let's see here. Okay, so I always felt like I was treated um with narcissistic abuse by military people. Yeah, and a lot of them, they go into that field. Like, I had a friend who was like telling me about his military experience and how it was so fun, like making people do an extra set of push-ups and just giving them a hard time for no reason. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, it's not funny. And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, why do you treat people like that? Right. So a lot of narcs, and he was a narc, they go into that field because of it. I've been looking into Tartaria for a minute. See, we're on the same wavelength, you guys. We need to have like a group discussion about this. So I've been looking into Tartaria for a minute, but casually I found a book on it. Ooh, let me know about that book. Right, there was another book too. Yeah, let me know because now I have some time to read. Uh, yeah, I have to look that up. You already know why I'm looking into it because mine is more in relations to the biblical timeline that we're on, and so I want to know, why did they cover up this time period and call it the Dark Ages when it really could have been called the Golden Ages? And then if it was called the Golden Ages, why? Right? Why has this piece of history been hidden from us? Right? Could we be a lot closer, to the creator than what we think we are, right? On this biblical timeline. Let's see. So roast for dinner, a bit of much. Oh, wait. So I like a bit of each on my Okay, so many supervisors are in the narc navy. Yeah, yelling at you, break you down for sure. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I would just be re-traumatized. I'll be such a, like, they wouldn't even want me in the military. I was so broken down by the time I moved out from my adoptive family. I was scared of everything. It was pathetic, right? It's so bad how they like make you terrified of everything, right? And then just getting yelled at by people. I mean, I wasn't sensitive, so I wouldn't have broke down and cried, but I feel like my soul would have just left my body in order to, like, be successful in the program. Oh my God. And like going to Iraq, like a friend, he had told me some of the stuff that they had to do and how he almost died. I'm like, no, I would have just said, just kill me, just kill me. Like, there's no way I could have lasted. Okay, so I got promoted again after that rank. Yeah. Yes. All right. So, uh, yeah, it's crazy. Okay, let's see here. Eat how you want and kick those voices. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's just how I eat. But like every time I think about my adoptive father making fun of me, and then everybody at the table laughing, and like they always, man, like every day, I'm like, oh shit, what are they gonna do now? And like if I didn't sit down at the dinner table with them and eat, I couldn't eat at all. And so I was like, okay, well, like they're about to make fun of me once again. Here we go. And they would all make fun of me, like, oh, every day. Okay, so yeah, a lot of military people become cops. Yeah. Let's see here. You're welcome. Let me know some more book recommendations. I think we're on the same wavelength in our book choices, right? Because I don't know anybody else who's read Prey. Okay, so one more tortilla color. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna look that out. Look that up. How do we contact you? Yeah, so I have email on the channel. It's rebounding from narcissistic. No, rebounding from narcissism at gmail.com. It's on the channel too if you want to double check. And then I do have a Discord. I've kind of fell back from the Discord within the last few weeks because I've been so overwhelmed with a job that did not want me because I'm incapable. I'm very incapable, you guys. But yeah, so you could also email me for the Discord link and we can hop on there. I might actually hop on there a little bit later today. We'll see. Let's see. Obviously, but no, I had to meet a virtual, like the metaverse. Yeah, I'm not participating in some crap like that. Let me see. You would have been all right in the midterm. Trust me. I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm a strong guy. Don't get me wrong, but I'm trying to think. Like, goodness gracious, like, because I was so insecure, like coming out of the abuse. So thinking about 18. Well, see, I would have had to get my mind right for it. So like since I was already focused on college, I just stuck with that. But shoot, the military would actually have more benefits for me. Um, but yeah, is there a voice chat option? Oh yeah. So what happens is I think you had sent me one. So what happens is when I get on Discord, then I can hop in the voice channel, and then you guys will come in, right? So I think you had sent me a request to hop on it. Let's see here. I was definitely traumatized by the military. Yeah, I think I could have survived, but I think I would have lost a part of my soul. Like not all of it. I think I would have lost like maybe like 30%. Because I don't believe in anything the military stands for. And I know that there's good people in the military. I don't get down with it. I don't like anything about war. Like nothing. Absolutely nothing. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Okay, so but yeah. Some people I feel like it gave structure, right? But I'm on the outside looking in. I don't know what um, I don't know because I never went through that type of training. But I know I've had a lot of narc friends who've been in the military. Let's see. So your job had to get rid of you before you exposed them. They probably found my channel, you guys. They're like, oh hell no. Get his ass out of here. He's just exposing us. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I know I've been busy. Send me another email. And then sometimes you guys, I don't know if it was you, but sometimes you guys will send me like novels. And here's the thing about me. I can't after I got the thing, the shots 5 years ago, not this current one. I can read off of the computer, but I can't read like long paragraphs or like novels off of the computer. Like I prefer a actual textbook or I have to print it out. And so sometimes when you all send me something like extremely long, I might read a part of it and then I'll say I'm going to get back to it. I never get back to it. So that could be the reason too why I didn't reply. And then sometimes because people already have this issue with me, with my short replies. And so let's just say, and once again, I'm not saying that this was you or anything, but like, let's just say you send me like 4 or 5, 6 paragraphs. And then I reply with like 2 or 3 sentences. You're gonna be like, wow, like he doesn't even care. But it's not the fact that I don't care. I just I'd rather talk about it than write about it. Is a book called Pray. Yeah. Michael Creighton, I believe. Someone Jake posted it in the chat. But yeah. Um it's going back to this book. It didn't really go in the angle. It's a little bit too sci-fi for me. But the story is based off of real research, which is in the back of the book. So it might teach me a thing or two about, what's going on now. I'll probably finish it tonight since I don't have a job. Okay, so what was once bad is now good. Which was good is now bad. Hey, friend, you could drop pounds so fast. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, and here's another thing, you guys. And so with this, because with the income that I was making from this job, I was like, oh, I can start buying some stuff. So I bought this, what is it called? This microbiome test. And so I'm going to see, I think it's pretty cool because I like stuff like that. So I'll get my results back in like maybe 2 weeks. I'll let you all know about it if I like the company or not. I'll share them on the channel. But I think a lot of the excess weight that I can't lose, by no means am I like, I'm bigger than what I want to be, but like I think the reason why I'm having a hard time losing some pounds is because of my gut microbiome. And yeah, so I think once I can fix that, then I can get rid of these last few pounds. But I'm gonna start running again. I went out on a trail by my house. What was it, like 3 days ago? And I'm like, there's a lot of hills too. I'm like, ooh, this will be good to get out there and run again. Okay, so yeah, the view whole military are different now. Never will recommend my children to join. Yeah, like and then you have to get inoculated to even be a part of that stuff. So I'm like, oh hell no. Like, and I think that's why my friend became a narcissist, because I think he got all those demonic juices injected into him, and it changed him. And there's this girl that I used to date. Okay, now I'm talking too much, but whatever. It's 3 o'clock. You guys are fine, right? So there's this girl that I used to date, and I swear she got this thing. She don't even look the same. Like, she does physically, she doesn't look the same. She has that blank stare in her face now. And I'm like, she didn't used to look like that. And then I look back at some of her older pictures and she had light in her eyes back in the older pictures. So I don't know what this thing does, but she doesn't look like the same person anymore. It's like scary. Um, yeah, it's weird. Okay. So the military is no different from everything you experience. Yeah, it's just going to be like everything I experienced on steroids. But I like, it's just the world. It's no matter where I go. Even if I think it's a cool place, I'll probably still get sabotaged. Narcissistic abuse is deeply ingrained in our society. So it says, I'm better verbally anyhow. I can't get around to do videos without another person there to talk to. Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, it's kind of hard too, especially after I've been doing my live streams. Now, when I try to do a regular video for you guys, I'll say a lot and and like and how I'm saying right. But it's just weird now that I've like am engaging with you all this way. Yeah, I was listening to somebody. She was talking about meek milk kefir, and I want to try that too because I think that will help my stomach as well, as far as like my microbiome. Yeah. Now I'm trying to think what was. I feel like my microbiome had got hit by this word. Um, I definitely have by this word twice. Um, but yeah, I forget. I wonder what's that in relation to. Um, yeah, let me know. Yeah, CMOS is amazing. I liked it. Dr. Sabia got me on that. Another book is If You Had Controlling Parents. Yeah. I know when it comes to reading about books when it comes to like abuse, like narc abuse, I'm kind of cool off of it now just because I know a lot. But yeah, anyone out there who wants more information on this topic that we keep discussing on this channel, I would say check out this book. I've heard about this book too. It's supposed to be pretty good. Ooh, goodness gracious. Oh, I wonder why is that? Um, But I feel like that, like I feel like they tell you the opposite because for many years I didn't consume salts and it was a huge mistake, right? And now I drink salt water like at least once a day, right? Like from like good salt, not like the regular stuff you buy at the grocery stores. But yeah, I wonder why. Um, I'm still processing you guys what happened to me earlier today. I just heard in my head, we're gonna have to let you go. Oh my god. I think I'll process it tonight and then I'll come back and give you guys a follow up. It's so funny. Okay. It's best to make it at home. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people say it's easy. I'm like, I gotta look at a recipe. I'm like nervous because I'm like, if it goes bad and I drink it, um, I could really get sick, right? It says, let's see, do you know anything about insulin resistance? Some aren't aware they're dealing with that. Cause people to gain weight. Yeah. So I think, oh, that's kind of a hard one because I think part of the reason is trauma, which affects your hormones. But then I think a lot of it too is toxicity, like heavy metal toxicity. And so I had symptoms of pre-diabetes after taking the thing 5 years ago. And as I started detoxifying the metals out of my body and taking things like berberine, all the symptoms went away. But yeah, I don't know because I don't know, but I think that diabetes is something that can definitely be reversed, and I actually think that stage one diabetes is caused by the medical field. But I got to stop telling the truth because YouTube doesn't like that. So let me just go to the next question. Yeah. Let's see. So I mostly read nonfiction and reference book. Yeah. You know what's interesting too? I used to be that way too, but I really do like fictional books because I feel like you can learn real life principles in them. And I feel like sometimes if you want to tell the truth, you have to put it in a fiction book because people won't believe you, right? So I think that even with Prey, it's a fictional book, but I feel like there's a lot of truth in there. And society wouldn't be able to ingest it unless they thought it was like sci-fi. Okay, so I've heard of this channel, but I don't know who that is. Okay, mostly all nonfictions. Yeah, I can move faster through fictional books than nonfiction, right? Because I take nonfiction too seriously, but fictional, I'll just get through the story really quickly. No comments. No comments. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I want to try it. I want to try it out because it seems very interesting. Okay, so been on here for 2.5 hours almost. Okay, you guys, I'm losing my voice, so I think I'm gonna get off of here. I might come on here tomorrow. I don't know, or maybe I'll just cry all day. You know, because this world just treats me so. This world treats me so horribly. No, I gotta reevaluate my life and restructure some things. But yeah, I might hop on tomorrow. Let's see. It's funny because every time I say I'm about to hop off, you guys start commenting. Okay, so wait, I had Zia like Thomas and fading a couple hours later. Why is that? Yeah, you probably do. You might have to just decrease your dosage. I would say like trying to get in contact with like a naturopath or somebody who knows more about it because everybody's toxicity levels are different, right? So you definitely don't want something that's causing you to faint. Um, but yeah, but it probably has to do with it because a lot of the metals have an affinity for our nervous tissue, our brain. And so maybe, it's pulling from your brain and that's what caused you to faint, but I don't know. Right. So, and just as a disclaimer, you all take everything that I say in regards to like healing as not medical advice, but just take them as entertainment purposes only so that YT can get off my back. Okay. So let's see here. Yeah, like, because with fiction, I used to be like, why do people waste their time? And now I'm like, no, you can find some of the best lessons in a fictional book, right? And I feel like it helps with that creative part of you as well. Let's see here. So if you're dealing with candida, you shouldn't have fermented foods. Um, it depends, like, because everybody has candida. So if you have candida overgrowth, right? But sugar is what's going to help candida grow out of control, right? So I think all the other stuff will help build up your other bacterial colonies. But yeah, I still want to try it though, because I got to get my stomach back. But the good thing about this lab sample that I sent, they're going to tell me what foods that I need to eat more of to better enhance my gut microbiome, right? So I think that, with the trauma that I've experienced and over detoxifying, I think I kind of disrupted, and then consuming coffee for a year, I think that helped. I mean, that helped destroy it. So yeah. So yeah. So we'll see. We will see. Okay, so it was a good chat. Sorry about the job. Fun hanging with you. Yeah, it was. This was a good time. Yeah, the job is story of my life. I'm like, okay. The next job I'll probably keep for like 3 days. So, okay, like let's go back. So this job I kept for a month, right? Okay, so when did I start? I started talking about narcissism back. Did I start the channel? Yeah, I started the channel in 2020. Okay, since the pandemic started, I've had 6 jobs. So let's see. I'll start with this job. This job I kept for a month and was let go. And then the last job, I was on a temp assignment that only lasted for a week. And they offered me another position, but they wanted me to go in office and I couldn't. The job before that, I got, let me just scroll through the chat. Let me scroll through the chat. Where's your comment, Jake? So I got this and had to leave. And this was my second attempt. So I had to leave within 2.5 days. The job before that, I worked for 6 days, and I got that, the word that's on the screen. So I had to leave that job. Then job before that, I lasted for 2 months due to narc abuse and being overwhelmed. Then the job before that, it was a 6-month contract. So ever since I started teaching about narcissism on this channel, I can't keep a job, you guys. So we have to go through the entrepreneurial route. Yeah, you guys, we should do a live stream where we just like cry. Just cry. Be like, woe is me. Why does the world like me? But yeah. No, I'm not gonna cry about it. Like, I'm surprised that I'm actually kind of feel relieved, right? Because you know how you can kind of feel like when you're not welcome somewhere or you kind of feel like you're not needed. That's kind of how I felt with this job. I'm like, I'm not really needed. Like, you guys don't need me. You have another accountant. Like, so, and the company, they weren't the they weren't moving where we would need as many people. Like, I'm like, you guys, you really don't need me. Right. And like the fact that they wanted me to like build stuff from scratch and I'm trying to understand the world of accounting and finance. It's like, well, I'm not experienced enough to be doing all that stuff for you. I could learn it. It's just going to take me some time. But I am excited. And I think that this opportunity is definitely going to land me a better one. I might not be able to get the same pay though, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Hopefully God comes back because I'm ready to leave this planet. But yeah, as far as like me being sad or anything, I don't think I'm going to be, right. Which is crazy, but this is why it's important to do the work on yourself, because when these things happen to you, you're just like, okay, well, I know God has me, so you can try to destroy me as much as possible. Like, I'm not going to be sad about it. I'm not going to cry about it. So it was nice doing business with you. Okay, so I think I'm slightly insulin resistant. I think a hard dive actually did it. Yeah, I think so too. Wait on my blood tests, and I'm working on multiple things. Praise God for guidance. Yes, amen to that. Hey, Roxy, I haven't seen you in a while. Okay, so yeah, so let me go ahead and get off of here so I can regain my voice, figure out my life, my new life. And that's another thing before I get off here. This is why I've been so reluctant to move, because I'm so nervous that I'm going to move to a different state and some shit like this is going to happen to me and I'm going to be stuck. So pray for me, you all, because I really want to get up out of LA. And oh my God. But anyway, so this was a beautiful live stream. I think I will keep it up. And it was a pleasure to talk with all of you today. And yeah, so I may or may not be back on here tomorrow because I don't know what I'll cover. I think I want to go back over gang stalking and kind of show some old videos of mine, but we'll see. I don't know. I'll see what you all think. So anyway, God bless you all. Stay strong in these last days and keep me in your prayers. And I will talk to you all next time. Take care and have a great Friday. Bye.